Syracuse, New York. Couldn't ask for a better night for college soccer in the CNY area. Off and running between the Orange and the Fighting Irish. Syracuse in the traditional home striped jerseys with the blue shorts. Notre Dame in the all whites on the road. First time these two have met since they clashed in the middle of the regular season back in 2022, also here in Syracuse, New York. Series history lopsided in favor of the Fighting Irish, but the Orange dominant in that last matchup between the two. First touch up top for Matthew Roux. Takes it inside the 18, fires easy in the end for Tomas Hutt. Starting goalkeeper all season long for the Orange, the senior who transferred in 2 years ago from Army.
Tomas Hutt knows he could very well have his hands full throughout the evening, Andrew, especially with Matthew Roux, you know, handling that front line for Notre Dame. He can shoot from distance as well, something to keep an eye on throughout the night.
Matthew Roux leads the NCAA and the ACC in a number of categories. In the conference, at least, you look up and down the stats. Okay, shots on goal, points, goals, everything. This senior striker for the Fighting Irish is atop of the ACC. Nicholas Kalukian gets his first touch of the game. He's not happy with the call. The throw-in goes in favor of Notre Dame.
Kalukian might be coming off a suspension for 5 yellow cards a total this season, but he's coming out with that typical passion he has when he plays, and that's a part of the game that, you know, you got to respect and love, that work ethic, but you also have to be a little bit careful.
We've talked about a couple times now the yellow card suspensions. If you get 5 yellow cards throughout the season, you've got to sit out the next game. That's why both Chimere Omeze and Nicholas Kalukian were unavailable when the Orange traveled to UAlbany in the midweek. Didn't stop Syracuse because they scored early 2 goals in the first 10 minutes against the Great Danes. Blake Kelly sends the right foot through it after he got his first touch of the game in his own 18-yard box. Slight shove through the back. Roux goes down. He earns the whistle. That goes against the freshman Dom Bell, who actually filled in for Chimere Omeze on the back line against UAlbany, and he played so well that he earned himself another start.
It says a lot. You know, Coach McIntyre, a manager who loves to reward players who, you know, put in good performances, are working hard in practice. I'm very intrigued to see how far Dom Bell goes in this game, because that was his first 90-minute performance of the season, recovering from an injury at the beginning.
KK Bafour to take the free kick for Notre Dame. He was on the College Cup All-Tournament team last year when Notre Dame came up just short of a second program national title. Bafour's delivery left a little to be desired, and so Syracuse can counter the other way. Talk about 2 programs, Sam, that have seen the top of the sport in the last few years. Notre Dame, 2 College Cup appearances in the last 3 seasons. Syracuse, obviously the 2022 national champions. For the Orange, not many remnants of that squad from 2 years ago. But for Notre Dame, they returned 6 of the 11 starters from last year's championship match against Clemson.
That's the most notable thing when you look at both of these rosters. 2 teams that, to your point, have had a lot of success recently. And I mean big-time success, going to the College Cup, winning it all in the case of Syracuse a couple of years ago. But it's the fact that Syracuse has 14 total transfers on this roster, whereas Notre Dame only has 1, and it's a backup goalie.
Touch up top for Nolan Spicer as Notre Dame tries to feed the middle of the field. That speaks a little bit to the different ways that the 2 coaches tonight like to build their rosters. You mentioned for Syracuse, 14 players on the roster that have at one point transferred into Syracuse. Maybe not this year, but in the past few seasons. And then for Notre Dame, only 1 transfer, and that 1 transfer is Colin Travasos, who's a backup goalkeeper who has only played in 1 game this year. So Chad Riley, in his 7th season at the helm of the Fighting Irish, played for Notre Dame back from 2000 to 2003, 2-time Big East champion as a player, and he has plenty of experience getting the Fighting Irish into the NCAA tournament. And we mentioned his style of getting players in as freshmen and really developing them across their 4 or 5 years in South Bend, Indiana.
It is really cool to see. And, you know, when you look at this Notre Dame team and how they played so far this season, it is really a great balance of those upperclassmen and those players who've developed in the leadership roles, but then some freshmen and sophomores as well who have been making an immediate impact for the squad. So Chad Riley is a guy who really likes to work with his players and develop them through their ideally 4 years at Notre Dame.
Turn and go for Chafamba with Kalukian, and now to the near side. Omese getting all the way up the field, but the touch was loose. KK Bafour, this is the speed that Notre Dame can hit you with, slicing through the Syracuse midfield. Both coaches talked to us about the importance of the first 20 minutes or so. Last time these two met, it was a Jonah Leibold 23rd minute goal that stood the test of time. Syracuse 1-0 victors over the Fighting Irish 2 seasons ago, and the Orange dominated that matchup. Outshot the Fighting Irish 22-3 back in that national championship year. Sebastian Green takes the ankles of both the defender and his own, and then his entrance is knocked away. DaCosta and Threadgold combo, and Chafamba sends it near side. Nathan Scott centering feed. Kelly off his line quickly.
Let's go build up play there from the Orange, Andrew, as we take a look at the head man in Ian McIntyre, 15th season in charge. And you can hear him always vocal down on the sideline. For Syracuse, it's all about getting on the front foot early against the Notre Dame squad that has scored first in 7 of its 9 games so far this season. So that's a key, like the Orange did against UAlbany back on Tuesday.
Ian McIntyre donning the orange shirt on top of his traditional button-down shirt. Pediatric Cancer Awareness Match. The whole Orange bench wearing those shirts as well. We'll have more on that story at the halftime break. Good work from Cutler to Jesus in the middle of the pitch. Wins it back for the Orange. Syracuse applying the pressure, trying to trap Notre Dame in its own defensive half. Fighting Irish have an outlet to the near side. Still the first minute opportunity from Matthew Rue, who did not get quite the power on it that he wanted, is still the best chance of the opening 10 minutes.
I do like how Syracuse in the early stages is trying to really make Notre Dame uncomfortable, especially when they're moving it about on the back line. Like right now, it's more of a, moment in play where things have settled down. But the Orange, everyone up top moving together as a unit, trying to make things uncomfortable. The same could be said for Notre Dame as well, winning that ball back in the midfield.
Cool and comfortable on the back line from Threadgold, working back from his defensive, rather from his midfield position. Jonah Leibold unavailable tonight for Syracuse due to an injury. He's been injured consistently over the course of the last 2 seasons. A key wide threat in the national championship winning season. Scored the only goal against Notre Dame that year. But he's unavailable tonight. And so you see Chimre Omese on the near side. And on the far side, it's Gabe Threadgold that will try and present the problems for Notre Dame down the flanks.
And with Leibold out, that means that none of the players you're going to see on the pitch tonight against Syracuse have played against Notre Dame in an orange uniform.
Elton Chifamba, who's in the middle of the pitch, fighting for this ball right now, would have played against the Fighting Irish a couple of times in his tenure at Clemson. Helped win 2 national championships with the Tigers. Nicholas Kalukian, the striker, actually scored a goal against the Fighting Irish in his freshman season with Michigan. But that speaks, Sam, to the constant turnover that we've seen in an Ian McIntyre program here in Syracuse, New York, constantly using the transfer portal as his friend. And it seems some years it'll work out better than others. Look at 2022 for the prize that comes from it.
Yeah, it all depends. You know, the transfer portal, no doubt a great tool to use as a manager to find the talent that exists with so many players moving from program to program, and especially in soccer, moving up division levels too. If they impress at the D2 or D3 level, Ian McIntyre has found some gems in that sense, but it's also very difficult with so many new players in the fold, trying to get them to really string together that chemistry that you need to be a national title contender in a very difficult conference.
Defensive work needed from Ian McIntyre's crew out on the field, and they get it from Threadgold on the far side. Just over 10 minutes in here at SU Soccer Stadium, Sam, both coaches stressed that they want the possession, they want the run of play, they want to force their tempo on the other team. What have you seen from those opening 10?
I've seen mainly Notre Dame getting what it wants in terms of that possession. However, Syracuse has been disciplined in their defensive structure to make sure not much has gotten by them.
Long throw searching for the head of the defender, Mitch Ferguson, up the pitch, but Syracuse handles it well. Ball back to the feet of KK Bafour. Ever dangerous when he has that ball. Always asking questions of your defense. Nice cutback work and a centering pass. Rolls all the way to the near side. Layton finds it, tries to set up Kalukian all the way down the right sideline. Notre Dame in the end with Josh Ramsey. Easily works it back to Kelly all the way to the far side. This is a Notre Dame defensive line that was one of, if not the best in the country a season ago. They had the second best defensive season in Notre Dame program history, only allowed 15 goals all last year. And across 22 games, Sam, 19 of them did they allow 1 or 0 goals.
Just absurd stats. And that's such a difficult thing to do because that really requires a full focus for the full 90 minutes, game in, game out. And usually, you know, you're bound to make some sort of mistake defensively that will lead to a goal from the opponent. But seemingly for the Irish last season, that just never happened. It was so tough to break them down. And that's a big reason why they made it all the way to the national championship.
You've got a couple of IMG Academy products back there, and Kyle Genenbacher along with Josh Ramsey. Kelly comes all the way off his line out of the box to clear it away from danger.
You can see Andre Cutler de Jesus kind of waving his arms saying, I like the energy, boys. And that's what you need from Syracuse. Make it as uncomfortable as possible for Notre Dame's back line, and even Blake Kelly, forcing him to come off his line and play a little bit of those uncomfortable balls where he has to clear it out and make those 50-50 split-second decisions.
Cutler de Jesus trying to pump up the crowd as well. A lively atmosphere, an intense atmosphere. You don't get many Saturday night showdowns in the ACC for men's soccer.
That's right. It's usually Friday night. That's the weekend game in ACC play, which is always a fun environment, but a unique circumstance tonight. And with neither football team in action either, it's perfect for these fans to come out and enjoy this type of Saturday night football.
Heavy challenge in the midfield. Sam Layton goes right through the 2 legs of KK Bafour, and that might earn the first card.
And there it is. Yellow card. Bafour clearly in a lot of discomfort as well. Layton's pleading his case, but that's his second booking of the season, Andrew. As we take a look at the replay here, before, yeah, gets the touch free of Leighton, and he's just late to the challenge. Nowhere near playing the ball. Even though that's the first foul against Leighton, it's a reasonable decision from the referee.
Center referee John McCloskey puts Sam Leighton's name down in his book. Not sure there's much of an argument to be had from the Syracuse side on that one. Balfour's back on his feet, and he receives the free kick. Wyatt Lewis all the way back to the back line, and Mitch Ferguson. Now let's check out the pace of Balfour. Sends it down the near flank. Sebastian Green chasing after it. Omese does well.
Great work from Omese. In talking to Coach McIntyre before this match, Andrew, he stressed how it has to be a full 90-minute effort from this entire defense in particular. You have to, shut off those possible angles to get crosses in, because Notre Dame loves to serve balls in from the wings and find the likes of Rue in the box and try to cause mayhem that way. So great job by Omese, just staying with the attacker and forcing it off of him to win the goal kick.
Tomas Hutt sends the goal kick all the way into the Notre Dame defensive half. Syracuse keeper has the Orange at just over 1 goal allowed per game on average, middle of the pack in the conference. Chance for Syracuse to move the lines all the way into the opposing 18. "15 minutes in, Orange searching for a first real chance of the game. Kelly came off his line, didn't get there, but it's still headed away from danger for now. Another entrance blocked away. Hutt happy to clear his lines. Kalukian tries to get on the end of it. So far, so good for the Notre Dame defensive line. All the pressure kept away from freshman goalkeeper Blake Kelly. Sam, where will that Syracuse challenge come from up top?
I think, you have to see some more combination. They're trying to force some balls through. I'd like to see them get Kalukian on the ball more too. And sometimes that means you have to be a little more direct, but I think you can combine through the midfield. And if Kalukian times a run, you got also the likes of Daniel Burko up there. Those are the two that I'm focusing on. If they can time their runs, a through ball to one of them, and they could be in to test Blake Kelly, Andrew.
For now, they've been made to chase the ball up there for the most part. Another free kick should help alleviate some of the pressure for Syracuse. No doubt that Notre Dame is enjoying a high line, keeping Syracuse on their heels. Throw-in favors Omese in the Orange. And here is Kalukian. He was not first to it. Giving up about 5 or 6 inches in height differential, and he hasn't been able to win a header yet. Rue with his back to goal at the midfield line. All the way back to the back line for Notre Dame. Still, it's that opening minute chance for Matthew Rue on his weaker left foot. And now might be the second chance for Notre Dame. Sebastian Green running at Chimre Omese. Cut through, searching for Balfour. Kalukian goes down too easily, according to John McCloskey, the center referee.
That's been a theme in nearly the opening 20 minutes, Andrew. The official, John McCloskey, really letting them play things out. It's been a physical battle, which we expected. And, you know, on some of those 50-50 challenges where you don't know if it's a foul or not, more times than not, play has been allowed to continue.
And it was allowed to continue through an apparent KK Bafour handball. I'm pretty sure everybody in the stadium thought that one hit off the left arm of the midfielder. Far side for Bryce Bonneau, leading a sister on the Fighting Irish, leading a sister in the ACC with 7 of them. And now centerly, and the shot just sails over the bar. That is the speed from KK Bafour, but he couldn't quite keep it under the crossbar.
And before that chance from Bafour, way earlier on, you see claims for a handball. That looked like one to me, but play continued, and about 45 seconds later is Bafour with that speed. He was a standout track athlete at the Taft School in Connecticut, a star in the 100-meter, and you're seeing why. He's causing a lot of issues for that Syracuse back line early.
Kelvin DaCosta, who got on the wrong side of KK Bafour, allowed that chance. He's down. Referee and the goalkeeper Tomas Hutt checking on Kelvin DaCosta. Stoppage 20 minutes in gives both teams a chance to catch their breaths, rehydrate. About a picture-perfect night for soccer here in Syracuse, New York. We mentioned it, just above 60 degrees. Fall weather is in the air in central New York. You can feel it, and it brought a great crowd out to the SU Soccer Stadium.
Almost perfect weather, really, for this time of year in central New York on a Saturday night. You know, all of a sudden the darkness has taken over, but the light shining bright here at SU Soccer Stadium. But even in the warm-ups, you know, the sun was out. The vibes were good. Seems like a proper setting for an ACC soccer match in early October, I should say, Andrew.
Couple of teams trying to move up the ACC standings. This year, you add a couple of squads to the ACC with conference expansion. Conference tournament will still fit all 15 teams. Number 1 seed gets a bye. That means if you're in the top 8, Sam, you'll get a home game in the first round. That's what both of these coaches have their eyes set on, and this game could help propel one of these 2 squads up the standings.
Yeah, especially talking to Coach Ian McIntyre. You know, 2 points through the first 4 matches of ACC play. But with that being said, you know, there's still a lot of soccer left. With that being said, this month of October, a chance to gain some more points, and he said that is a big goal. You know, you can still secure a home game in the ACC tournament, and that's the big focus, 1 game at a time, with how many stacked teams our opponents, I should say, are on the docket for Syracuse.
McIntyre's freshman Kelvin DaCosta up to his feet, the midfielder from Mozambique. Walking off under his own power. Let's check out what went wrong on that last play.
Yeah, he just tried to lunge in to block that ball, maybe stretched a little too much. Immediately clutched, it looked like that right leg. So couldn't quite see the exact injury, Andrew, but it was on that lunge when he tried to block the effort from Bafour.
And it appears as if the Orange are going to keep Kelvin DaCosta in the game. Give him one last check-in, and then they'll wait for the center referee's wave to welcome him back on the pitch. Goal kick is away. DaCosta is back in for Syracuse. A slight limp as he waddles back toward the midfield. We'll keep our eyes on DaCosta, see if he is good to stay in for the remainder of the first half. And as we mentioned, that Syracuse does warm a couple of substitutes and walk them toward the touchline. And now DaCosta is back down in the middle of the park. So the freshman gave it a chance after he went down on a challenge trying to tackle it away from KK Bafour in his own defensive box. Went back out for a few seconds, but he'll head to the bench, and 2 substitutes will come on for Kelvin DaCosta along with Ben Rosenblatt. Rather, Ben Rosenblatt comes on for DaCosta. Syracuse will also take Daniel Burko off.
Substitutions for Syracuse.
Braden Smith comes into the game for the Orange.
And maybe a slight surprise to not see Braden Smith in the lineup, after getting a goal and an assist in his last 2 games, but still a big impact sub is what he's capable of.
We're grateful to be joined by head coach Ian McIntyre with Syracuse on the sideline. Coach, normally I would ask you about the game so far. I do want to talk, though, about the shirt that you have on, Pediatric Cancer Awareness Match tonight. Can you just talk about how much that means to you and the cause that you all are supporting tonight?
We're proud to be able to be associated. Young Malia was a very brave young lady who battled cancer a couple of times. And ultimately, she never gave up, never quit. She took it on, battled it, and ultimately just ran out of time. So we're very proud to be able to celebrate her this evening.
Coach, for you guys, I know you showed a video about Malia Jessic yesterday to the team. What was the message about the cause that they're supporting?
Look, it's a pretty emotional story, and it's a really tough. Look, we talked about how best to celebrate Malia, and also realizing that time is short, and to fully appreciate where we are, and so for our locker room, appreciate this opportunity that we're afforded to be together, and hopefully we can compete tonight and make the family proud.
Well, Coach, an awesome cause that you all are supporting tonight. We really appreciate the time here in the first half.
Appreciate it, guys.
Malia Jessic, a daughter of one of Coach McIntyre's former professional teammates who went through a battle with neuroblastoma. We'll have that full story again coming up at halftime, with Syracuse wearing the warm-up shirts today to honor her. Nicholas Kalukian down on the field in the last minute for Syracuse. Junior striker, leads the team in shots and shots on goal. Already has 2 goals through 10 games this year. Missed last game due to a yellow card accumulation suspension. And this is not the sign that Syracuse wants to see 20 minutes in, Sam.
Not at all. And I honestly thought it wasn't the worst thing in the world for Kalukian to miss that midweek match, just because he had played a big role in all of the previous 10 matches, had played in every match up until that point. So to get that rest, I think, was maybe even beneficial for him to come out firing tonight. But you can see he's clearly in a bit of distress. And that would be a big blow for Syracuse if he has to come out of this match. And by the facial expression, it's not looking great.
He is walking off under his own power, as you can see. But you mentioned the facial expression, a grimace there from Kalukian. Already Kelvin DaCosta in the midfield has had to come off the field in the first 20 minutes for Syracuse due to an apparent injury. Michael Aqua readies and enters in replacement of Kalukian up top for the Orange.
And it's unfortunate to have these couple of injuries early, but in the same breath, 2 of these players who have come in, Braden Smith and Michael Aqua, that were not in the starting lineup, they both scored in the midweek match against UAlbany. So those are still players in form that are replacing the injured players.
And both have received a lot of time. Aqua, several starts already this year. Bafor, the in-swinger from the corner mark, punched away out of bounds from Tomas Hutt.
And I'll tell you what, Hutt had no idea what direction that ball went in. He was hoping to punch it out of the box, but it went backwards instead, and he was looking around afterwards saying, I have no clue where it was. To his relief, it went over the end line and not to the back of his own goal.
Did enough, at least for now. Bafor again, similar location, front post header away for Syracuse. Cheston down for Bafor, who one-hops it into the welcoming hands of Tomas Hutt.
Can't really blame Hutt for just settling things down a little bit, because Notre Dame had a couple of set-piece chances right there in the attacking third. Try to win the possession here if you're Syracuse off of this punt.
Long scrum ends up with a Notre Dame throw-in. game has slowed down over the last few minutes here at SU Soccer Stadium. A couple of injuries, couple of stoppages, a yellow card, and really no threats for either goalkeeper over the last 15 minutes. Syracuse still trying to get shots on goal to test Blake Kelly.
And that's just sometimes the nature of these ACC games where there's two quality teams but really wanting to get points. It's going to be a chippy battle, and sometimes it's tough to develop a rhythm early on in the game with all of those stoppages.
Both teams coming off impressive midweek results. Syracuse on the road went up 3-0, ended up winning 3-1 at UAlbany. That snapped a two-game losing streak for the Orange. For Notre Dame, they hosted Division III Trine University, another Indiana school, and beat them 7-1 at Alumni Stadium in South Bend, where Notre Dame has won its last 4 games, but 4 straight that they've played in front of the home fans.
Right, and it's almost been a month actually since Notre Dame has hit the road. The 6 total games in a row back at Alumni Stadium.
Most notably in this 4-game winning stretch, a revenge victory over Clemson and a rematch of last year's national championship. Fighting Irish won that one 2-1, and it was Matthew Rue, who we've well documented his success in scoring this season, already leads the nation with 10 goals. He scored an 86th minute winner at home to beat the Tigers. Best win so far of the season for Chad Riley and the Fighting Irish, who, depending on which poll you look at, are well respected around the country. United Soccer Coaches poll has them just as receiving votes, but if you look at the RPI, if you look at Top Drawer Soccer, well, they're a top 5 team.
It's a bit baffling, isn't it? And that's just the nature of the rankings, especially this season in college soccer, where there's quite a bit of discrepancy for teams like Notre Dame.
He joked with us that they forgot to pay their United Soccer Coaches poll bills this year, and so they were a little late to receiving votes.
That's great.
Pretty safe to say if they win this one, they'll probably be in the top 25 of every poll to start next week. Centering cross knocked up in the air, header toward the back post. One hop and comfortable eventually for Blake Kelly. Nerves might have been racing a little bit for the first time tonight for the freshman.
And that's a little bit better from Syracuse in that attacking third. You know, some combination in the middle, spread it out wide, send a cross into the box, make Kelly come off his line and work for it. You never know what's going to happen. That's a better strategy from the Orange.
Blake Kelly had big shoes to fill in South Bend. Brian Dowd, the 3-year starter, was a Herman Trophy semifinalist a season ago. Long ball searching for Bafour is knocked away by Rosenblatt on the back line for Syracuse. And now Syracuse up top searching for Braden Smith, but again it's Kelly quick off his line.
A little ambitious, a little bit of a hopeful ball played ahead where you're kind of just hoping for the best. I'd rather see more combination in the middle to build up to a chance outside the area, because that wasn't too threatening whatsoever towards Blake Kelly.
Kelly, the freshman out of Holt, Michigan, actually enrolled at Notre Dame in the spring. That was key for him winning the starting job with 5 goalkeepers on this roster for Coach Riley and the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, Chad Riley talked about how huge that was to have him back in the spring, in those spring practices and scrimmages, just to get him ready to potentially take on that starting role. And Kelly might be a true freshman, but he's had great experience as well. Played at the club level for Real Salt Lake Academy and at MLS Next Pro for the Monarchs.
And I think if you talk to both fan bases last December, neither one would have been confident in who their starting goalkeeper would be in August of 2024, as Notre Dame wins another attacking corner. For Syracuse, you returned both Jason Smith and Jaheim Wickham. Tomas Hutt was on the roster last year and never saw the field. And then Blake Kelly earning the nod over a couple of returners in South Bend as well. Let's see if KK Bafour and the Fighting Irish can challenge Tomas Hutt on the latest corner for Notre Dame. Outswinger on the top of the 6, Syracuse, the strong header away. And a whistle goes in favor of the Orange.
Those corners are adding up for Notre Dame, but all in all, Syracuse has done a good job and a solid job in terms of defending those set pieces. A lot of those corners, the delivery has been towards that near post area. Syracuse has made sure to have numbers around that 6-yard box to clear it, or in that case, draw a foul.
Still just one shot on goal for either team, and it belongs to Matthew Rue, and it came in the first minute tonight. Not a whole lot to write home about so far in this matchup between the 2022 national champs in Syracuse and the 2023 runners-up in Notre Dame, who have been knocking on the door of a second national championship and a first for Chad Riley. Fighting Irish won it back in 2013. Fell out in the semifinals in penalty kicks in 2021 and 1 goal shy, falling to Clemson last year.
They've been oh so close, and with a number of returners as well, you better believe they're really motivated to get back to that national title game, perhaps.
Turn and go for Smith. Leads it all the way up top, atop the 18. Just rolls wide for Syracuse. Best chance of the game comes for Michael Aqua, and he was just inches away, and he drew a Notre Dame deflection that leads to the first Syracuse corner.
Oh, what a dangerous chance in front of goal for Syracuse. A great ball played up top, and Aqua with a brilliant touch to get past one defender and just puts it wide. You have to put that one on target. He knew it afterwards as well, but it did take a slight deflection, which played a role into that.
Believe off the fingertips of Blake Kelly. Not sure it was headed for on target, but it certainly was challenging. In swinging corner for the Orange, punched away. In a crowd, Kelly ascends over everyone with 2 strong hands. Syracuse ropes it back in. Just missed the back post and Andre Cutler de Jesus. Leighton first to it in the midfield. He keeps it and he rolls it wide. That time Syracuse convinced it took a deflection. Possibly didn't deserve a corner earlier. Think they did there, and they aren't rewarded.
Either way, absolutely love the work ethic from Sam Leighton, who, to be fair, has to be a bit careful because he's on a yellow card, but he is the one player for the Syracuse team that has played all 90 minutes of every match so far, and once on that corner kick moments ago, he applied the pressure to keep the ball in the attacking third and then creating that chance as well. You can see he's a little out of breath, has to track back defensively, but phenomenal work ethic from the Australian.
Center referee has paused the game to allow 2 Notre Dame substitutions to come into the game. Nolan Spicer and Sebastian Green check out for Chad Riley. First time onto the pitch tonight for Ian Shaw, the freshman, along with his freshman midfield teammate Jacob Bartlett. Bartlett, a traditional starter in the midfield or at that outside back position. Tonight, Sebastian Green got the starting nod over him. Bartlett's a little banged up, slight injury, he's limited. First touch of the game for Jacob Bartlett. Bafor. Bartlett again. Kennenbacher with room to stride up the pitch. Ian McIntyre urging his team into a higher line of pressure. Trying to force the issue. Trying to cause a turnover. Final 15 minutes of the first half. Still scoreless between Syracuse and Notre Dame. Best chance for the Fighting Irish came from Matthew Rue in the first minute. Syracuse a late flurry, a couple of looks at the top of the 18 in the last few minutes.
I do feel like Syracuse is gaining more confidence in terms of when they're on the ball. They're being more clinical with it. They know that they're not going to get a ton of chances against a Notre Dame team that likes to hold the ball and have a lot of that possession. And Coach McIntyre understands that. That's why the Orange trying to be direct. Perhaps on this chance, they'll try to do the same.
Bryce Bonneau heads it away from danger, and now Bafour tripped up Syracuse's Rosenblatt, and the whistle goes. Now it's the Orange that go back to the bench. 2 more substitutions coming for Syracuse. Christian Fortier prepared to enter along with Carlos Zambrano. Nathan Scott and Elton Chifamba, the 2 that will exit the field for the Orange. Chimere Omese came over to the touchline, but he was just receiving some instructions from his coaching staff.
Carlos Zambrano, a guy I'm interested to see how much of an impact he can make off the bench today. He made his first start with Syracuse in that game against UAlbany. And Coach McIntyre said he's loved his attitude recently in practices. He's really been putting in good work, and a player that Coach McIntyre is currently very high on.
Zambrano came over from Daytona State, where he played 2 seasons, and he was a JUCO Region Player of the Year in 2023. Scored 13 goals in his 2 years at the JUCO level. Again, one of 14 rostered transfers for the Orange. Fortier earns a free kick on his first touches of the game. Safe to say that Wyatt Lewis was not going to let him take it quickly.
A little bit of gamesmanship there, but that's what you expect in a matchup like this. 2 teams that, you know, haven't played in a couple of years, but still don't like each other nonetheless, and they know that crucial points are on the line.
Over the top ball, and Aqua forces a Syracuse throw-in.
Well, ours. Get something, Mike.
Fortier shields it onto his right foot. Well, it fall for Smith. He goes down. No penalty awarded. A quick reaction from our center referee. He gives the safe sign, and at least for now, no PK for the Orange. Still finds its way to the feet of Smith. Cutler to Jesus. Threadgold. 1-2 for Threadgold. In the 18, centering. Did it go across? Yes, it did. Corner kick.
Not the prettiest soccer being played at the moment, but it's still enough to put the pressure on from Syracuse. As we look at the replay there, tough to see from that angle behind the goal. Remember, the whole ball has to be over the end line. It's the AR that's really making that call in that moment.
Syracuse goes short, and Threadgold whips it in. It's a quick header away. Sent back to the 18. Can't quite fall to the feet of Omese. Heavy collision on the near side. No whistle comes from it. It was Jacob Bartlett fighting against Sam Layton, and Layton crashed into the boards. He thought he deserved a free kick there. Notre Dame throwing.
It's felt like Layton's covered every potential area of the pitch so far. He's been putting in quite the shift in these opening 45 minutes, all the while playing on a yellow card, which he picked up early.
Mileage report might reflect that he's been doing some heavy lifting. No time to check on that till 90 minutes are up tonight. Intensity just continues to elevate between Syracuse and Notre Dame. Ferguson scans all the way to the back line of Syracuse. Final 10 minutes in the first half between the Orange and the Fighting Irish. A game that has had its ups and downs, not a ton of chances. As that throw goes back to the Orange. And certainly hasn't been smooth sailing for either side, not a ton of momentum to take away. It's been a real choppy first 45.
It really has been. But with that being said, I do feel like over the last 10 minutes, Syracuse has grown in confidence because the possession has been more even though it's been, you know, kind of both teams turning the ball over a bit more frequently than they'd like. I think the Orange overall are happy with the intensity they're playing with. If you can somehow get a goal right before the break, all of a sudden, Syracuse would be in control.
Despite the record of 4-4-3 for Syracuse, they have struck first in a number of these conference tilts. Centering looking for Aqua, and it will result in another Syracuse corner kick.
Talk about an impact sub. That's Braden Smith. So much natural talent from the freshman. 2 good feet as well. He's a very direct player, and that was on full display there.
Carlos Zambrano standing over the ball at the corner spot. Second straight from the in-swinger. From Daytona State, the transfer whips it in. Front post, Notre Dame first to it. That won't test the back line whatsoever, Sam.
No, it's got to be higher in the air to get it past that first defender at the near post.
Threadgold comes all the way to the near side. Flips it forward. Aqua couldn't get to it. Ian Shaw keeps possession in the midfield for Notre Dame. It out, or else that might have found the feet of Wyatt Lewis racing into the box. More subs for the Fighting Irish. Well, Schrader comes into the game. So does Stevie Dunphy.
Substitutions for Notre Dame, number 14.
Matthew Root checks out.
Will Schrader.
He's been on a tear as of late. A couple of hat tricks in the last few weeks, but not much to speak of for the nation's leading goal scorer in his first half outing.
That's a credit to Syracuse's back line. I think they've made things very frustrating for him, I should say, because even though there's been spells where Notre Dame has had the majority of the possession, the Irish really haven't entered that final third often, and when they've had, Syracuse has cut out those crosses trying to find Root.
Miscommunication from Syracuse on the back line. Opens things up for Notre Dame. Jack Flanagan on the right flank. Cuts it back. And a cross is rolled away. Notre Dame player hits the turf. Stevie Dunphy just into the game. Couldn't get on the end of it before he lost his footing. Zambrano trying to show off the pace. Pass a little bit behind Threadgold, but he holds it up. Final 5 minutes of the first half that still has the scoreline reading Syracuse 0 and Notre Dame 0. Sam, if this is the halftime scoreline, you think one of the two managers will be a little more happy than the other?
I think it's Syracuse. I feel like in the last 15 minutes of the half, the Orange have settled in a lot more, and that intensity that they're playing with is paying off. And oh my.
So I think it's a clean tackle on that play from Braden Smith, but they get the advantage called back on the tug of the shirt from Zambrano.
Well, we got to look at the replay. I think you're absolutely right. Yep, there was the tug of the shirt. So advantage play to your point. Zambrano, that's clean. But since it broke up play only a second after the ref played advantage, he has every right to bring that back for the foul.
Understand the emotion from the Syracuse fans. Also understand the call on that play. Arcing ball up top, Tomas Hutt safely there. A little shielding work to help him as well from Dominic Bell.
Talk about a big situation to be put into as well for Dominic Bell, who before Tuesday against UAlbany, the most minutes he had played in the match was 36. That was it, and he's already, you know, almost 45 minutes into this outing, and looks fit as well. Perhaps a chance to go the distance once again.
Freshman from Orlando heads it ahead for Omese. Now Fortier off the body of an Irish defender. Centering feed. Aqua was there, but he knocks it out of bounds. Goal kick, Notre Dame.
And with the pace of that pass into the box, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, Andrew, that was intended for Aqua, because it was a hot shot right towards his feet, but he tried to claim it anyways, but because it was coming in at so much pace, kind of ricocheted off his foot. Too heavy of a touch when all was said and done.
Blake Kelly in enemy territory, up against the boards, used as noisemakers here in Syracuse with the students out in attendance on a Saturday night. That might have caught a piece of the hand up top of Stevie Dunphy, and it did.
Now with 1:30 left in the half, if I'm Coach McIntyre, I'm saying, let's go for it, guys. If you're Syracuse, can you create one last opportunity before the break?
Bell goes direct. Out of bounds before Aqua could get there. Rosenblatt the header. Zambrano tried to knock it down for Fortier, and Cutler to Jesus on the end of that. Well worked defensively by Flanagan. 1-on-2 for Dunphy. Gets it back to Bafor. Advantage Notre Dame. Near side Shaw. Cuts it for Flanagan. Syracuse first to the cross. Defensive work for the Orange from Rosenblatt. Perhaps one more chance for Notre Dame before the first 45 minutes expire. Searching for the long throw from Jacob Bartlett. Six Notre Dame players in the box. Bartlett, the long throw to the 6. Headed up, Tomas Hutt comes, and he's there. Hutt happy to slow things down. Final 15 seconds, and that should all but do it in the first 45 between the reigning runners-up in Notre Dame and the 2022 national champs in Syracuse.
3, 2, 1, 0.
First meeting between these two sides since 2022, when Syracuse took down Notre Dame 1-0 at this exact location at SU Soccer Stadium.
Coach McIntyre, and it's a great reminder as well, Andrew, that as much as we love sports, we love soccer, there's much bigger things in life, and it really puts things in perspective, and that's a big part of what tonight's about.
It does certainly put this game into perspective, something that we love to watch, something that the guys on the field love to play, but there are bigger things when it comes to life. Back underway at SU Soccer Stadium, second half, second 45 to try and find a winner between the Orange and the Fighting Irish. Couple of substitutes late in that first half, Sam, have stayed on the field for Syracuse to start the second half. I know you had your eyes on Braden Smith as an impact substitute, and he's out there for the second 45.
And I'm not surprised about that. Right after he came in, he brought that energy that Coach McIntyre talked to us about just yesterday heading into this match. He loves the work ethic of the freshman, and he's been a threat, especially down the wing, right now playing more in a central role.
trying to connect up top with Ben Rosenblatt for Syracuse. Orange had the better run of the play down the final 15 or 20 minutes after they were slow out of the gates, didn't have a single shot on goal halfway through that first half.
And I talked about at the top how important it was for Syracuse to come out with the energy and get on the front foot similar to like they did against UAlbany. Now they didn't do that, but luckily Syracuse's defense did a solid job of really silencing Notre Dame, and that let the Orange take some time to get back into the match.
Couple of injuries in the first 45 as well for Syracuse. Notably, Nicholas Kalukian went down for the Orange. We'll see if he is fit to return at some point in this second 45. Syracuse also had Kelvin DaCosta go off about 20 minutes in with an injury too. Neither has returned yet for the Orange. Nathan Scott trying to find Braden Smith. Instead, it's Blake Kelly, the goalkeeper, out to collect.
And that's just a moment of miscommunication there between Scott and Smith. Scott thought Smith was making a run out wide. Smith was instead cutting towards goal. It's little things like that that needs to be improved upon for Syracuse, because that final chance in the final third hasn't been there as often as Syracuse would like it to be.
Whistle the other way against Chimre Omese, who finds himself in a more midfield role tonight, a little more attacking minded than he has been to start the season for Syracuse. Threadgold does his job defensively. Aqua working one-on-one. Wyatt Lewis, the one to come away from the scrum for Notre Dame, and just sends it past his bench out of play.
And going back to your point quickly about Omese, we did kind of both look at each other when we got the lineup saying, oh, you know, Omese back into the lineup, but Dom Bell still getting the start, because a big reason why Dom Bell played those full 90 minutes was because of Omese serving his yellow card accumulation suspension. But with that being said, I don't mind that strategy from Coach McIntyre to play both of them, because Omese is a player who has that pace where he can get forward, cause some problems on the attacking end, but he can also get back very quickly.
Omese does have 2 goals already in his freshman campaign. Perhaps he's the one to break the deadlock at SU Soccer Stadium tonight. Not a whole lot of golden chances in the first 45, I'll tell you that much. Gave Threadgold a nifty touch, but it wasn't good enough to beat Mitch Ferguson. Cutler to Jesus shanks it off the outside of the foot. Still finds his teammate Rosenblatt on the far flank. Scanning up top for Smith. His cross is whacked away. Bell just does keep it in. Along the back line for Syracuse, Leighton, and now Cutler to Jesus. Loose touch from Threadgold. Rue with his back to goal. You'd have to think that the big guns for Notre Dame are the two that they'll search out to try and find an answer offensively on their end, and that would be Matthew Rue along with Bonneau.
Yeah, it just hasn't been there so far. I mean, Jack Flanagan is the only other player on Notre Dame who has more than 2 goals outside of Rue. So, you know, Rue's been brilliant so far this season, but with that being said, there hasn't been a huge wealth in that goal scoring.
Tomas Hutt hesitated, did not come off his line. Centering feed, no damage in the end for Syracuse. Bryce Bonneau, the leading assister in the ACC with 7 for Notre Dame, and Matthew Rue, the leading goal scorer in the conference with 10 for the Fighting Irish. Just haven't called either of their names a ton tonight.
I think a big reason why is because Syracuse has executed upon its game plan, making it very frustrating for both.
Flick header finds the feet of Aqua, trying to spin. Searches up top, one-on-one. Smith tackled away. Was there too much contact? There was not. It's a clean play in the end for Josh Ramsey, but it does give Syracuse the first corner kick of the second half.
That's an experienced defender right there in Josh Ramsey, timing a tackle to perfection, making his 73rd appearance, 71st start for this Irish team. He's a true veteran leader at the back, and it takes a lot of guts to go to ground for that challenge, but he timed it perfect, Andrew.
One of the 2 IMG Academy products on the back line for the Fighting Irish. Ranked the number 6 defender in his high school class. Syracuse goes short. Threadgold's cross is blocked away. Off the back of Will Schrader. Still possession for the Orange for now. Zambrano, another player that subbed into the game for the Orange and starts the second half on the field. Turn and go for Scott. Onto the feet of Threadgold. Back to Scott. Cutler to Jesus, and now Threadgold down the left flank. Crosses it in, left foot, through everybody, back stick, and into the top 90. Syracuse strikes first at SU Soccer Stadium. Ben Rosenblatt breaks the deadlock with his first goal of the season.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. From the wide area, gave Threadgold with a dangerous ball in. It's whiffed on originally by Aqua, but then at the back post, it's a one-touch finish. Rosenblatt times it perfectly, coming onto it with his left foot, upper 90. It's pure class. No one was marking Rosenblatt. He said thank you very much, and SU Soccer Stadium is jumping.
The Elon grad transfer with his first goal in the Syracuse orange and blue stripes. A trio of Syracuse attackers that had a chance to get on the end of it. First 2 whiffed, third time's the charm, and Rosenblatt couldn't have picked it out better with his hand.
And it's also great awareness by Rosenblatt, because it looked like Aqua was going to get a touch and put it on frame, but that's, you know, the instinct of a guy like Rosenblatt to be ready for that ball to potentially get all the way through. And I love Syracuse working it out wide, sending across into the box. That's the ideal recipe for success, rather than those through balls forward through the middle of the park.
And these are now key moments for the Syracuse team that has struck first a number of times this year and failed to get results after a full 90 minutes. Ian McIntyre talked with us about how he wants to see more composure out of his team after goals. And that flutters just wide off a Notre Dame head.
And that's right to bring up, Andrew, because there's still a lot of soccer left in this one. As we take a look at the replay, Notre Dame hoping for a quick response. Header flicked on. Syracuse with a number of defenders in the area to make sure that wasn't a shot on target. But yeah, still 36 minutes to go. That's been a big kryptonite for the Orange. You take the Wake Forest game, the Louisville match, for example, when it was a late goal from the opponent and you let points slip away. So the defense has been very rock solid, but they have to continue to do that for the full length.
Notre Dame made to go chase to try and protect their 4-game winning streak. That's the goal scorer, Ben Rosenblatt. Playing defensively on the right wing, found himself all the way into the box, and it just was placed on a tee for him. after a couple of teammates missed on the chance.
And you have to say, Andrew, that goal deserved for the Orange. I mean, they've really settled in nicely. The last 15 minutes of that first half, they were controlling the possession and creating some more chances and making Notre Dame a bit uncomfortable, and they've carried over that momentum into the second half, which is never a guarantee. After, a break in the action, I think Coach McIntyre has to be pleased with the sustained energy that Syracuse has brought, and it paid off for them.
We'll see if the Syracuse team can keep the energy up on the field. Perhaps try and double their lead before Notre Dame strikes back. Threadgold asking questions of the near side Notre Dame defense. Loose from Cutler to Jesus. Genenbacher straight into the air. Zambrano tries to bring it down. Does end up on his blue cleats, and he locates the near side for Threadgold. Genenbacher slides it into the Syracuse bench. Zambrano has a rip. One hops into the chest of Blake Kelly. Ambitious, got a good strike on it, but it would have had to have been perfect from that distance.
That's true, Andrew, but I don't mind it from Zambrano. I mean, this Syracuse team is playing with some swagger to begin the second half. Zambrano, a player with a ton of confidence at the moment. Why not take a crack at goal from distance?
Aqua cuts it inside. He beats two defenders, sets it up, top of the box, ripped just off the outer netting. Nathan Scott had a few convinced that that one found the back of the net.
I mean, this period of play right now is some of the best soccer we've seen from Syracuse all season long. If that has just a bit more curl on it, it's bending inside that post, and Nathan Scott would have been celebrating his second goal of the season. So close for Syracuse. It's all about the quick movement of the ball, Andrew. Another example of that there, where it's a one-touch shot, as we saw in the goal.
Boy, Blake Kelly's goal is under a barrage right now from Syracuse. Big night for the Kelly family. His older brother Zach in action right now, the starting keeper for Michigan State. Zach Kelly has a clean sheet at halftime against Maryland right now.
You think the family has a little double box going?
They might, unless they're here in Syracuse, New York, or perhaps in East Lansing. Maybe some of you at home had us on the double box with the Alabama-Vanderbilt game on to see the Commodores pull an upset today. Syracuse trying to pull what would be a slight upset at home over Notre Dame. Backstick header. It finds the back of the net. Tapped in for Notre Dame. Irish equalize. And who else but Matthew Rue. Number 11 on the year for the nation's top goal scorer.
Not the prettiest goal of Rue's season, I can tell you that much, but this is what pure goal scorers do. They're in the right place at the right time. Syracuse couldn't clear it out. Defending set pieces, a big focal point, and no one from the Orange could get onto it. Rue says, thank you very much. I'll slot it home, and it's completely against the run of play, Andrew.
Those are the moments we talk about for Syracuse after you score. Can you control the tempo for the next 10? Instead, it's Notre Dame that fights back almost immediately, as this goal will go to video review. Looked like Mitch Ferguson had the first chance on it on the near side. He couldn't put it on target, but it ended up finding the head of Matthew Rue on the backstay.
So we'll take another look at the replay. I no guarantees, but I have to think this is a review for offsides because of the amount of headers there were. Where was that last defender for Syracuse, and what header are we talking about where there's a potential offside? Right there, the header across. So you see there, it's Omese claiming that it was the header over to the near post to Mitch Ferguson.
Agreed.
Where the offside occurred, Andrew.
And I'm not sure the Orange don't have a legitimate argument here. It's not on that one that was headed home by Matthew Rue. It'd be on the top of the box header that was flicked on for Ferguson. Let's watch. He's on the left side of your screen. And I think he's the last one back behind the Syracuse line, Sam.
I think so as well. You know, no definitive angle to really decide it here, but to your point, there's enough that we can see where it appears as though, although there is another Syracuse defender that got back into the six, and that was Nathan Scott. So a whole lot to sort out, and remember, there has to be definitive evidence.
Let's watch this first angle here. It would be right when this ball is flicked on.
Correct.
So wait for us here for a second. It would be right now. Is number 2 on the right side of your screen the last one back there? I think he is, Sam.
I think he is as well. And then another part of this conversation is, are we certain that header on that play was by Notre Dame? Because there was a Syracuse player going up for it too. If that actually went off the Syracuse defender's head, then that completely negates things potentially, depending on the referee's discretion. So this could be a lengthy review here, Andrew, because there's a whole lot to sort out.
Let's see if we can confirm which head it goes off.
Ooh.
I don't know if you can tell off that one.
No.
Might have hit all 3 of them.
It might have.
So you're looking at that moment right there, not only to see whose head it hit, but also if number 2 in white on the left side of your screen is behind all the Syracuse defenders. I'm pretty confident in saying he is.
I agree.
On that part. But the second question mark that you have to check off is, did it hit off a Notre Dame head? And is it indisputable video reference to overturn the call on the field, which is a Matthew Rue goal?
And the other part of it, too, is that it's not definitively whether it went off the Notre Dame player's head or the Syracuse player's head. But it does look like there might not be enough evidence to overturn this.
And the goal stands for Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish equalize in the 59th minute, and Matthew Rue stands atop a college soccer with 11 goals this season.
Yeah, just really not enough there to overturn it when all was said and done, Andrew. A whole lot to decipher. Syracuse might feel hard done. I'm not ultimately too surprised, though, that the call was upheld, because you really have to have an angle along the sideline. And you're seeing why Matthew Rue was the ACC Player of the Week. He won't stop scoring, Andrew. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this guy is on an absolute tear right now. We mentioned scored the game winner in the 86th minute to beat Clemson at home in a national championship rematch, as Syracuse is pressured right off the start. And then he scored 2 more against Trine in the midweek. He has the first goal for the Fighting Irish to equalize 60 minutes in Syracuse. And maybe, Sam, that's a call that if the flag goes up on the field, the call stands with offsides. And given it was a good goal on the field, the call stands with an equalizer.
I think that's a valid point.
Now Syracuse tries to take the lead ahead, but that is offsides, and the flag is up against Michael Aqua and the Orange.
The assistant referee ruling that Aqua, when the ball was played to him, was in front of the last defender, even though when he received the pass, he was behind. So that's the explanation from the AR on the far side.
All 3 points still to play for between Syracuse and Notre Dame. A half hour remaining in Syracuse, New York. Braden Smith is off to the races for the Orange. He lets it rip. That's ambitious. And it's deflected toward the corner. Notre Dame keeps it in. Aqua Turns, centers, rolls all the way back post. Threadgold lets it go. 5-hole and in. Just like that, the Orange are right back on top. How do you like this for action in the second half?
Wow. Talk about this game opening up, and that might be an understatement. Gabe Threadgold created the first goal with a cross from the left wing. This time, it's a service from the right side that gets all the way through the legs of Blake Kelly, and dangling along the goal line at the back post. There was nothing Notre Dame could do to clear it out in time. Wow. This is a back and forth match. And how about the celly from Gabe Threadgold? Play that guitar.
Full electric guitar here at SU Soccer Stadium. Electricity is bumping through the veins of everyone in attendance. Three goals in the span of about 10 minutes, and Syracuse back in front.
And this is why it's the beautiful game, Andrew. We had a cagey affair in the first half, a chippy match, which with plenty of stoppages, not too many chances on either side, and all it took was a halftime break where we begin the second half. Once that first goal went in, it's completely opened up and it's a whole different game.
We understand if you were asleep with us in the first half, but you better be on the edge of your seat right now, as Tomas Hutt was quite alive for that one to come off his line and shield it into his arms. Something tells me we might not be done at the SU Soccer Stadium quite yet.
29 plus minutes, that's a lot of time, especially the rate at which these teams are scoring in this last 7-minute spell.
Might have a few more left in this contest. Couple of teams that average allowing just over a goal per game. Notre Dame's given up double that average already tonight. And it's a top 3 ACC offense in the Fighting Irish that again is put behind the 8 ball and forced to try and chase points on the road.
Syracuse University goal scored in the 60th minute by number 21, Gabe Threadgold.
Crowd responds to the announcement of the Threadgold goal in the 60th minute. Another transfer, just like Syracuse's first goal scorer, Ben Rosenblatt. Grad transfer from Washington with his 3rd goal of the season. And now if you're Syracuse, Sam, do you try and sit back and try and slow this game down a little? It's clearly opened up, or you just keep chasing more goals. Threadgold again back stick, and he can't quite get there that time.
I think that play answered your question,
it
Andrew.
certainly did.
I don't know if I have to say much. Typically, if you're leading Notre Dame, a very good Fighting Irish team, I'd say maybe you can calm things down and just hold the possession. But this is some of the best soccer attacking-wise I've seen Syracuse play all season. Keep it going with all the momentum you have on your side.
That man, number 21 in orange and blue, at the center of it, Gabe Threadgold. Leighton lofts it up top, heavy collision, and a delayed whistle goes against Braden Smith.
Well, that's once again that work ethic from Braden Smith. Any type of 50-50 ball, he's going to go in there and try to win it, even if that means putting his body on the line. You just love the energy he plays with, especially as a freshman with so much potential ahead of him.
Mace shields it away from Bafour, who has been well kept off the ball in the second half. after he was the real difference maker and probably asked more questions of Syracuse's backline than any other player in the first 45. Here's Rue, and he is not allowed to turn. Stonewalled away outside the 18. Genenbacher racing away from 1 and 2 and cuts it through, looking for Bafour. Outside of the boot. Forced out of play from Rosenblatt.
Great read on that pass from Rosenblatt. Scores a goal at one end, but doing his duty defensively as well at the other. You can tell that this entire Syracuse team is bought in to fighting to the very finish here and know they can't switch off any second or else Notre Dame will capitalize.
Fighting Irish again, searching for a long throw in, this time from Kyle Genenbacher. First headed away by Syracuse. Bell the first to it. And Genenbacher can't get back to it. Everything you could ask for and then some in a second half on a Saturday night in the ACC. At least for the first 20 minutes of this second 45. Perhaps a couple more twists and turns left in the story between the Fighting Irish and the Orange. Long ball all the way to the edge of the 18. Leighton the only one to challenge for the header. One cut, and now two. Bafour, edge of the box. Bafour, another cut. Can Bafour shoot? He does. Hot, blocks it away.
Oh, great stuff from Tomas Hutt. Bafour is so dangerous on the ball. I mean, look, it's a solid job by Omese trying to contain him, but Bafour with a little deke right foot to go towards the end line. Great alertness by Hutt to come up with the save at the near post.
KK Bafour takes his own corner kick. Front post header away from Syracuse. Bonneau challenges. He wins it over Smith. Bafour goes down, no complaint, and the volley sails well wide from the top of the 18. Certainly not the last challenge that Syracuse back line and Tomas Hutt will face, as you'll start to see more and more numbers thrown forward from this Fighting Irish team to try and chase an equalizer.
Especially with that man you just saw on your screen coming back into the match, and Jack Flanagan, who has 3 goals to his name this season. Probably the most dangerous goal scorer outside of course, Matthew Rue. So there's a lot of threats going forward for this Irish team. 23 minutes, a lot of time left as well.
Good 180 spin from Threadgold and a good back challenge from Wyatt Lewis. Last touched by Syracuse.
And a foul.
Well, they'll give a whistle and a free kick. Fighting Irish try and switch the point of attack. Aqua 1-on-3 gets it away from danger, and now Syracuse trying to counter. Loose ball forward from Nathan Scott. Omese again called into action for Syracuse on the back line. Bonneau. Rue. Falls for Bafour. Cuts it over far side. Right-footed on the top of the 18. Bafour blocked away. Combo play from Rue and Bafour, but Syracuse read it. And now Aqua tries to chase out of the air. Syracuse's lone man up the pitch could not keep it in. I'm sure the counter, Sam, for Notre Dame forcing numbers up is that Syracuse should have an open opportunity or two on the counterattack to try and seal away and put up a 2-goal advantage.
And I think the Orange realize that as well. They're saying, you know, the Irish have to play, not with desperation yet, but some urgency going forward in terms of getting numbers up as well. So Syracuse is saying, hey, the way we've been linking up in the midfield and creating chances at the other end, if we can get it back and catch some defenders out of position, all of a sudden we could get some insurance and tack onto that lead.
No hiding the importance of this game for Syracuse's postseason hopes this season. Orange team that comes into the match at just 4-4-3, still searching for a first ACC win halfway through the conference slate. And a gauntlet down the stretch in the conference ahead for the Orange as well. Syracuse still has to go on the road to Virginia, to the reigning national champs Clemson, and host a Pittsburgh team that's top of the conference right now. Those are the last 3 ACC games scheduled for the Orange. Long distance shot, not gonna test Tomas Hutt.
That was Josh Ramsey, the defender, with the effort from distance. And I think that play right there is a compliment to Syracuse, because the Irish are showing that it's been a bit of frustrating for them in terms of finding that main man in Matthew Roux up top, or even linking up with Bonneau through the midfield, who's a great playmaker. That's the type of match it's been. I mean, the one Notre Dame goal came off a set piece, but within the run of play, there hasn't been much going for the Fighting Irish.
A Notre Dame offense that's averaged over 4 goals per game in the last 2 weeks. Held to just a 59th minute header from Matthew Roux that at the time tied this game at 1. And a minute later, on the other end, Gabe Threadgold thrusted the Orange back in front. All 3 goals coming in an 8-minute stretch here in the second half. Roux goes down, and the whistle goes against Syracuse's freshman Dominic Bell. Dangerous free kick upcoming for the Fighting Irish.
I mean, this is more or less how Notre Dame earned its first goal. So Syracuse has to make sure it's marking every man in the box for Notre Dame, and most importantly, clearing out that first service and not allowing any second chance opportunities.
Ian Shaw stands over it for Notre Dame. He sends it in back post, off the top of the head, out of bounds, searching for Mitch Ferguson.
You'll take that if you're the Orange. Good job defensively to just force him off balance. And Ferguson was kind of leaning away from the goal, was never going to be a real threatening header.
6'4" presents a daunting task to defend, and Syracuse succeeded against Ferguson, at least that time around. Chimre Omese slow to his feet after the last play. That's a guy the Orange will want to have on the field defensively in the final 18 minutes and 52 seconds. Already seen 2 Syracuse players come off the pitch in the first half. Neither has returned. Kelvin DaCosta along with Nicholas Kalukian. And maybe the latter makes this second half flurry of scoring for Syracuse even more impressive, Sam. They've scored 2 in 7 minutes without Nicholas Kalukian, who leads the team in shots.
Well, it goes to show you the depth the Syracuse team has. It's been all about that finishing touch, game in, game out. That's been an area where Syracuse has struggled in that final third, but the quality is there, and I think it's finally paid dividends in terms of what we're seeing on the scoreboard, with Syracuse at last capitalizing on those chances.
Surrendered a last-minute equalizer on the road at Louisville. Gave up 2 straight in back-to-back minutes late in the game to fall 2-1 to Wake Forest. Syracuse team that seems destined for its first ACC win. They've been knocking on the door for forever. Notre Dame trying to fight back as that cross rolls all the way across the 6, untouched. Bryce Bonneau set everyone up and they couldn't finish. Again, it rolls through. Bonneau back post, hot there. Finally, Syracuse can breathe.
It's got to be a deep sigh of relief here for Syracuse, because multiple times, if there was a runner sooner at the back post, Notre Dame could have capitalized. Just no runner that time. And on the second chance, Hutt does a great job to transfer over from the middle of his goal to that near post that easily could have snuck in if he didn't react as quick as he did.
Bonneau put it on a platter and nobody could finish it off. A trip outside the box, and that draws a stoppage in play. We'll see if a card comes out. Chimre Omese, the guilty party, as he went right through the back of Bryce Bonneau, and both still on the turf.
Unfortunate to see both players down, but I do believe Omese is going to be booked once he gets to his feet.
You would expect to see yellow here.
Yes.
If there is no tangle of the feet there and Bonneau runs on, he might get on the end of it with an open look inside the 18.
In real time, it really did feel like that. I mean, if Omese didn't interfere with Bonneau, I think there's a real good chance he's getting on the end of that cross. So that's why a booking would make sense.
You see the senior Bryce Bonneau up to his feet, pat on the back for Chimre Omese, who, once he elevates, receives a yellow card, and this will go to video review. Bryce Bonneau, the senior who came back this season after being drafted by Nashville SC in the 3rd round of the MLS Super Draft, was trying to get on the end of that one. And they'll go to review, perhaps to elevate this card, or at least check that it should not be a red card.
And I'm not going to lie, Andrew, in real time, I was thinking in my head, is there a possibility that this is a red card, since Omese was the last offender? Now we need to see the severity of the contact and the foul, but if it was clearly intentional by Omese to take down Bonneau, he was the last offender, and that could be a red card offense.
And that's the other thing when we see the replay is it just a tangle of feet, incidental contact?
Correct. Which it could have been.
It happened so early on that play.
Yeah, it did.
I think that would be a little harsh to see red on that play.
I agree. I agree. Seeing it a few times, you're right. It did happen very quickly. Oh, no, there's the tug of the shirt. So the left hand of Omese tugs the shirt of Bonneau, if I'm not mistaken, looking at it that one last time. Would love to see it again, but if that's the case, Omese could be in some dirty water here.
Yellow card has been issued.
So we'll stay with the yellow card. Omese is booked. 73 minutes in. And that will be yellow card number 6 to lead the team this season for a guy that just came back tonight after he was suspended in the midweek against UAlbany for an accumulation of yellow cards. He'll have to be careful in the home stretch here of the regular season that he doesn't pick up a pair more,
right?
Or else he'd have to miss another game.
And when you look at this area, the free kick, certainly within shooting range. I expect this one to be on target. We'll see how many Syracuse puts on the wall, but this is more or less straight on, so that makes it more difficult as the goalkeeper for Tomas Hutt, because you don't really have a great idea as to whether or not whoever shoots this ball will try to bend it towards the near post or the far post. Now the wall is setting up a little bit left of that ball as you look at it.
You've got a lefty in Jacob Bartlett and a righty in KK Bafour standing over it, both with 1 goal this season. And you have Nathan Scott laying down beneath the feet of the wall. It's Bafour for Notre Dame, off the top of the wall, who stands its test. Does the job for now.
Bafor just didn't get enough lift on that ball. He wanted to dip it over that wall, but not enough elevation. Syracuse, while celebrating that effort, has to lock in to defend another set piece.
Shaw, the in-swinger, rolls all the way top of the 18. Booted away for Syracuse. Orange searching to counter. Aqua gets on the end of it, and he's bodied off the ball. Whistle comes. Perhaps another card out of the pocket. We'll see. It seems as if Josh Ramsey has gotten off scotch-free from that one. Couple of subs into the game for Syracuse. Daniel Burko, Sachio Ming both enter the contest. Just over 15 minutes to play for the Orange to try and shelter out their first ACC win of the season.
These are Shaquille Ming's first minutes of the night as well, so a freshman who has fresh legs. I like the change from Coach McIntyre.
Bafor again. Floats it through. Rue couldn't get on the end of it. Cut away nicely by Dominic Bell.
Dominic Bell has quietly put in an impressive shift. For someone who is coming back from an injury, didn't play for the first several games of the season, and is on tap to go 90 minutes for the second straight game.
Number 19, Daniel Burko. Number 18.
Bafor to the back post. High. Elevates.
Tomas Hutt has been rock solid all night long, and he reads this one nicely. Right at the edge of his 6, no hesitation whatsoever, battling through a few bodies to make sure he claims that one and didn't allow a rebound.
As we head inside the final 15 minutes, entering what has been the danger zone this year for Syracuse men's soccer. Outscored 4-2 in the final 15 minutes so far this season. It's cost them a couple of results already in conference play. And when you look back to the 2022 National Championship season, Syracuse outscored opponents in the final 15 minutes in overtime 12-3 that year. So points can completely flip down the home stretch, and Syracuse is hoping to clinch tight to 3 points at home. Overlap for Threadgold, floats it middle, and it's knocked away from danger. Again, Gabe Threadgold all the way down the near side, and he has posed a huge problem for Notre Dame in the second half.
Just a constant threat down that left wing, some really good service as well, always making it difficult for the Irish.
Whistle goes against Zambrano. He is not happy. Ian McIntyre clapping his hands in a fury on the near side, trying to urge his team to refocus. Ming chases up top for the Orange. Kennenbacher. Over the top for Shaw. Nifty footwork. Turnover as Flanagan couldn't handle it in front of his own bench. Now it's Chad Riley's turn to do the cheerleading, urging his team on toward an equalizer late. Leighton in front of Rue. Bafor, Bonneau, over the top, scanning for Bartlett, who gets there. Bartlett, open to cross, middle of the pitch. It's headed away before it could find the head of Rue. No secret who Notre Dame is trying to set up to tie this game. Cutler to Jesus, right over the top of Genenbacher. No stoppage. That allows Ming to go one-on-one. Working near side. Sakil Ming tries to wrap around Ramsey, and the veteran gets the best of Syracuse's youngster.
Only fitting that this game is one that's coming down to the wire. The last 6 meetings between these squads, Andrew, have been decided by 1 goal.
Notre Dame leads the all-time history, 15-4-2. But Syracuse has had a couple crucial wins over the last decade. Last time out in 2022. Now it's Burko chasing up. And again, the Notre Dame backline comfortably deals with the pressure. Although the freshman goalkeeper Kelly just sends it into the stands. Back in 2015, it was Syracuse getting the better of Notre Dame in the ACC title match for the Orange's first ACC championship. A couple of programs that have gone toe-to-toe at the top level. And 2 programs that you would argue have been 2 of the top 5 or 10 programs since the COVID season. Threadgold puts it back in for Syracuse. Burko to Threadgold. Locates Ming. Chafamba. Burko on the touchline. Cuts it back. Just missed the feet of Ming. Cut away top of the box. Rosenblatt. Chafamba. Cut through searching for Threadgold. But he's beat to the ball by Genenbacher.
Even though it didn't result in a shot there, you're still happy with that sequence for Syracuse. Some real tight passes that they've been connecting to keep it in the attacking third.
Chafamba cuts it into the 18. Bafor back defensively. The longer Syracuse can keep it on this side, the less defending they'll be asked to do in the final 10 minutes. Bell asked for it to go to the far side. Instead, Omeze sent it near side for Layton. All the way to Hutt. He clears his lines. Omeze. Was it a clean tackle? No, it was not. Again, Chimere Omeze caught up in a dangerous tackle. He's already on a yellow card.
Those 2 in particular, Andrew, Omeze and Bafor, have been in a battle all night long. It's been a fun one to watch because it's 2 very talented players. You know, Bafor, I should say, with so much pace and technical ability, and Omeze has done a good job stifling him.
Notre Dame goes quickly after the stoppage. Rolled into the middle and sheltered away. Syracuse goal kicked the decision. Not a decision that Notre Dame players are thrilled with. There's been a couple of decisions that have been scrutinized tonight. The biggest one that you could question was the Notre Dame goal and whether it was offsides or not. The play ended up standing for Matthew Rue. Didn't seem to matter much for Syracuse, who came back 2 minutes later and Gabe Threadgold with what would be the game-winning goal as it stands now as we've crossed into the 80th minute. Bafor to Rue. Genenbacher open. Decides to pass away a shot. Rolled to the touchline and cut centrally. Syracuse the first to it. Flanagan again posing threats for Syracuse as he put that one into a dangerous area. And now Genenbacher cleans off the ball and readies for another long throw-in. To the front stick, flicked on, back post, and it's kicked away. Only as far as the top of the box. Omese elevates, he flicks it on, and Syracuse tries to send it up for Ming, who would have been onside. Instead, straight ahead, and Hutt wins the foot race over Flanagan.
Wow, it went from potentially Syracuse countering at one end to Flanagan almost being in on goal at the other. Again, Hutt has done just a fantastic job of always being ready and alert of when to come off his line, or else that could have been a scary moment for the Orange.
Flanagan to Bonneau. He shields off the contact from Chifamba. Bafour trying to win the one-on-one with Omese. That's been the matchup of the night. Bafour on Chimre Omese. And Syracuse's freshman defender forces it all the way back to the midfield line. Flanagan in a one-on-one battle. And his pass rolls all the way to the Syracuse back line. Now 2-on-2 up top. Burko racing after it, but he won't beat Mitch Ferguson. Now he chases after Kelly. Swings it up to the middle of the field. Bafour around Omese, tries to cut it through for Roux. Hutt comes off, and Hutt wins. Tomas Hutt happy to send it 10 rows up into the bleachers.
He was almost playing sweeper keeper there, all the way outside his 18.
Seven minutes of defending left to do for Syracuse. Every minute feels like 5 on a countdown to a possible first ACC win of the 2024 season. Another corner for the Fighting Irish. Ian Shaw wins it. Thought about taking it quickly. Instead, he'll get the full cavalry up into the box. Shaw swings it out, front post flicked on, over the bar, goal kick. Again, the 6'4" center back, Mitch Ferguson, in the middle of chaos off a set piece.
If you're Tomas Hutt here, you're taking your pleasant time, really, until the official and John McCloskey tells you to hurry things up. The Orange so close, but still plenty of more work to be done.
Bafour ducks underneath of Rosenblatt, and it turns into a free kick in the end for Notre Dame. Official will stop the clock until play resumes. And now we're off and running, ticking towards 5 minutes to play. Onto the feet of Roux, and it's cut away. Sakil Ming turns into the middle of the field. Chifamba swings it near side. Syracuse off and running, and the pass is cut away on its way to Sakil Ming, who would have been 1-on-none to put this game on ice. A critical piece of defending for Notre Dame.
Wyatt Lewis with the intervention. If he doesn't intervene there, that's a breakaway chance, and Syracuse is likely putting this game on ice.
Instead, just one needed to equalize for Notre Dame. There is Wyatt Lewis, who had the all-important defensive work to keep this game keep this game a one-goal game. And now Ming has another chance, one-on-one with Ferguson. Another defender chasing at his heels. Now he slows it up to go 1-on-2, and he welcomes support as he is trampled over in the midfield. Advantage Cuse. Nathan Scott back to Ming. Tries to chip it over the defenders, and now Kelly has it shielded, and he greets it.
And I understand that Syracuse continues to remain attacking minded, but I will say, now that there's just 4 minutes left in the match, I feel like you're at that stage where it doesn't hurt to just keep possession and even try to take it towards the corner flag.
Flanagan, Cutler to Jesus, tries to cut in front and he back heels it. All done by the defender for Syracuse as Ming holds it up. And now it's sent into the bench by Cutler to Jesus. Ian McIntyre and Syracuse can taste the finish line, can taste a first conference win. And yet it's still so far away. Still a few critical moments left to defend as Daniel Burko works forward and earns Syracuse a throw-in.
At this stage, as I mentioned, I think if you're Syracuse, you've learned your lesson from, conceding late in games. Just take your time, keep possession, take it towards the corner flag. You can't take any gambles against this Notre Dame team.
Syracuse will try and keep it up the field. And that foul from Tom Bell will not help. That's Notre Dame set up shot. 2.5 minutes left. Still the 60th minute goal from Gabe Threadgold, the difference maker right now for Syracuse over Notre Dame. Flanagan. Through ball, searching for Shaw. Instead, Syracuse shelters it over to the bench of the Fighting Irish. Kennenbacher throws it short, gets it back. Bartlett, Kennenbacher floats it into the 18. Bafour elevates for the header. Knocked away from Syracuse. Under 2 minutes of defending left to do for the Cuse. Another centralized pass is headed away. Threadgold flicks it on. Scott trying to keep it going up the pitch. Shaquille Ming sends it near side. Burko, will he just chase toward the corner flag or will he go toward goal? Teammates urging him toward the corner. And now that's where he will go. Trying to just keep it down there and run precious time off the clock. He has not earned a corner. He kicked it off a Notre Dame defender, but after it had rolled out of play.
1 minute remaining in the game. 1 minute remaining.
A minute for the Fighting Irish to send it up the field and get one last chance at Tomas Hutt's goal. Kennenbacher racing with pace. Ming working back defensively. Bartlett shoved off the ball. Whistle goes against Syracuse's Nathan Scott. Fighting Irish have to hurry. Advantage play. Rue. Omese, the boot up to the midfield line. Half a minute left between Syracuse and victory. Bartlett floats it into the 18. Omese first to it with the head. Rue outside of the 18. Floats it back stick. Kennenbacher not able to put a head on it because Threadgold flicks it for a corner. Notre Dame has to hurry. All 11 up the pitch. Flanagan into the box, back heel, sheltered away, 2 blocks, and that's it. Syracuse victorious over Notre Dame for a first ACC win in 2024.